Hi guys, welcome to In the Know, a podcast here from No Film. Today we're joined by Holly Draper from Daniella Draper. Welcome, Holly.
Thank you very much.
Welcome to the studio.
It's a pleasure to be here.
So just to start with, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about the amazing Daniella Draper brand?
So I work with my sister and my mum, Della, and the two of them started Daniella Draper Jewellery, I think it was 12 years ago now. 12 or 11 years, could be 13, from home in Grimsby. And my sister went to Central St Martin's in London, which is a design school, a top design school. And there she studied jewellery design. And once she had finished, my mum said to her, look, you can stay in London and work for someone else, or you can come home and build your own business. And my mum had always had her own businesses. She owned a ladies' clothing store in Grimsby called Hobo, which was a really amazing store, and she sold great brands. So she already had like 30 years of retail experience. And my mum said to my sister, look, there's nothing better than being your own boss. She said, I've done 30 years of running my own business, and it's so much better than working for somebody else. So my sister moved home, and it was a really hard decision for her because all her friends from uni were staying in London, and that's where all the fun was, it's where all the amazing jobs were. And then to come home and kind of like live with mum and dad and start her business was a bit of a shock to the system. But yeah, they worked really hard. They started off really small, so they were making her first core collection from home. And step by step, they grew and grew and grew. So she started off doing fairs and markets, the Lincolnshire Show, traipsing all her stuff everywhere. And they always, from the beginning, had such an amazing way of creating an environment. So you'd go onto the stall at the Lincolnshire Show and you felt like you were in Ralph Lauren. They always managed to just like hit the little details. And then from home, they had people would come to home to shop, and they decided that it was too busy and too many people coming to the house, so they decided to open a workshop. So it's like a little bit like this. So Daniella would be working in the corner and people could come into the showroom and shop, and that was amazing. So, and people could also see her, so it was such a connection in our town because people they grew with her, and they knew her from this, she's very shy, this shy young 20-year-old. And so through that, she then started getting too busy with people coming into the shop. And every time she would have to get up and serve the customers. And she couldn't get her work done. So Mum was like, right, well, why don't we open a store and keep our workshop for you to knuckle down in and work in, and we'll open a store in Cleethorpes. So they found this gorgeous little shop, which we still have now. I think its 10-year anniversary soon.
Yeah.
And that's when our first permanent store came. And now we've got 7.
That's amazing.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's how the business started. And at that time I was working in London. My background was fashion PR. So I worked for a company in London that represented really big brands. And I never really I kind of got brought into fashion PR by a woman who I was a ski instructor for. I'd never done it before. And I remember her giving me this phone call and saying, hey, Holly, will you come and work for me in London? And I was like, oh, we're doing what? She said, fashion PR. She was American. And I was like, well, I don't even know what fashion PR is. And she was like, honey, neither do I. So I was like, right, okay. So I ended up working for her, not knowing anything about it. But it was just I learned on my feet. I had this amazing team that was based in New York and Paris, and it was their first ever office in London, which I worked in. And it was amazing. So I learned a lot from them. So with Daniella's design skills and incredible, way of creating things, and my mum's retail experience, and then my background from my marketing and PR, we kind of formed this triangle that was so great because we all had different areas which we specialised, but we all had the same vision as well. And, we all dress the same, we all like the same things, you probably can't tell us apart because we all have the same kind of style. So it's really great working, the three of us, and all having the same end vision.
That's kind of, hearing you say that, it's so kind of relatable to me and Pete. Like,
yeah.
Pete studied in London, I stayed local when I studied, but there was always that pull away from the area, wasn't there? Like, do we move to Manchester, Leeds, London? Obviously, there is amazing digital creative businesses in the area, but there's not that many of them. So it was always, do we stay local and set up where our friends and family are, or do we kind of move away and work for someone else? So it's kind of what you said there about Daniella kind of, being pulled to stay in London, but then moving back local. That's like very relatable.
It was one of the best decisions she'd made because, being in London, people think that you've got to move to a big city to make it big, and I don't particularly think it's true. I think for some people it is, and some people it isn't. But it's amazing what you can achieve in your hometown and the support that you can have around you to grow, and you become like a mascot for other people in your town to believe in themselves instead of thinking, I've got to come from Manchester, or I have to have this background and grown up in London and gone to this university or that university. You can still achieve so much from knuckling down from your roots and coming straight up rather than going.
I think that's like a long term. Well, for me personally, I think probably for you as well, Pete. Like that, we've kind of got that passion to longer term to see, to hopefully be a part of that growth of more businesses like us in North Lincolnshire and wider Lincolnshire, just to just say to people, like, you don't have to, like you said, you don't have to move to a city, and especially with pandemic as well, I think it's made people realise that it's not, now more than ever you can stay
Absolutely.
local. But I think there was so many things there that I wanted to kind of no, it was great. But in terms of like the expansion, you've obviously just opened a store in London as well. So how's that going so far?
Yeah, London had been on our cards for a long time, but obviously rents are so high, and we did a pop-up quite a few years ago in the same area in London, and it was really great and we loved it, and we were looking after that to do a permanent store, but then obviously Corona happened, and we kind of came a little bit scared of cities because people weren't allowed to go, and we thought, if we are going to open in a big city, your rates and your rent so high, if something happens, it could destroy a business. So after the pandemic happened, Mum and I, actually, we went down to London and we started looking at properties in all different areas, and we just fell in love with the King's Road and the amazing shops down there, and they're really, they've really changed it. There's so many brilliant restaurants, because I think the King's Road took a little bit of a dip quite a few years ago, and a lot of stores were closing, I think because the rents were so high. But the people that own Cadogan Estates, that own the King's Road, the majority of the properties, they're really making an effort to bring in independents, better restaurants. So we're really happy to be there. It's been amazing. It's such a gorgeous shop, and for us, it is where Daniella's jewellery journey began. So to go back to those roots was great. But it's funny because someone said to me the other day, said, we're opening 2 new stores. And they said, oh, where? And I said, London and Grimsby. And they were like, Grimsby? And I was like, yeah, it's our hometown. And they're like, this is a very big contrast to open a store on the Kingsway, London, in Grimsby, Victoria Street. But our shop in Grimsby that we've just opened, we've converted this really beautiful old building, and we've got Riverhead Coffee next door to us, which is fab. They make the most amazing coffee.
Great coffee.
Shout out to Nick Till.
Yeah, big up Nick. And then we've developed some beauty rooms above that are for rent for people. And, it's Grimsby, it used to be amazing, and we really want to invest in our area because it's given us so much.
Yeah, I feel as well one of the key things you said there was when you went to King's Road and they were saying they were targeting kind of more independence.
Yeah.
And I think that is going to be the most successful high streets are the ones with probably the most independence. I know locally the main high street in Scunthorpe, it's kind of quite dead and stuff like that. But if you go down the road, there's a place called Ashby, which is probably the equivalent of Freeman Street, and it's just full of independence and it's thriving. And
amazing.
So it's I think kind of like independents are going to be hopefully kind of
bring it back.
Yeah.
I was just hoping to earlier on, backtrack a little. When you were saying about your mum like setting up these stores, creating this like experience for people. I think you mentioned to me recently about it still being important for you as a brand to have the in-store experience. How do you think? Because I mean, a lot of businesses kind of think almost oppositely, like, we're going to move away from the high street, we're going to focus online and try and create kind of digital experiences. But why do you think it is so important to have like that in person?
Yeah, well, I like shopping in shops. My mum and my sister, we like the experience and we love great service. And going in and being served by someone and coming away and feeling great and having options to try on and see. And also, jewellery is really tactile. And our jewellery, it's, there's so much to it. It's not, it's heavy. It's some parts have got like little markings in. And it's so nice to see that in real life. And I think having a store, it's just an experience. And now we don't have so many experiences because everything is digital, which is great because you can do everything on the go. But I think losing that kind of intimacy with your customers and losing that connection with them, we don't want that. And we've got, amazing customers that come into our stores and they have relationships with all our staff. And some people come in weekly just to say hello. And I think having those stores and building those connections and relationships, and also people seeing that might never met us before and coming to a store and then being relayed the story, being taken on a journey, smelling the smells, looking in the old cabinets, and even if they don't want to buy anything, just being able to try things on. And I think that in itself is an experience, a bit like, going into a restaurant or getting a takeaway. Having someone bring your food to you, pour your wine, it's amazing and great experience, great customer service. My mum has always said it's so important. And she's really built that in all our stores, and we try and filter that online as well, so they get that kind of seamless experience. But I think having stores, I think it is important for us. We always would want a presence, just so people can see the quality and get the whole shebang.
Yeah, I think like obviously you're, I've been in several of these stores and they look amazing. But I think one thing that stands out about you guys is that your online presence and your brand is so strong. like that kind of as like a lifestyle brand and an experience. I think it translates so well digitally. So I don't know, is that, I think a lot of that is maybe being quite honest and personal with the brand, and is that something that you try to?
Yeah, I mean, that's what, one of my biggest inspirations is Ralph Lauren. And it is about him and his family, and he creates these incredible, marketing campaigns, and just even you walk into a shop and everything feels like Ralph Lauren. His smells, everything. And the same online, his newsletters, everything, they just are spot on. And he tells his stories so well through the models he picks, the way he styles his clothes. It's not neatly tucked in. Everything's a little bit, this, and he just knows how to do it to a T for him. And that's someone that I've always kind of looked up to. And I think that for us, we are a family business, and it is very much, from the beginning, my mum always used me as a model because she wanted people to grow up with me throughout the brand, unfortunately. As I'm getting older and older, I'm not liking it as much. But to have that trickle of me going through in the social media, and as well with bits with my sister and my mum and stuff, it's so personal to us. We still do our Instagram and create all our content, and we enjoy it. Like me and my sister, we used to, from the beginning when Instagram first popped out, we take all our photographs ourselves. We would do, we'd be falling out on a beach in France, move your hand there, no, you move your hand there. But we're such a great team, and we'd managed to get amazing photos. And that was just so much fun, and we loved doing it. Like even now we're in the workshop, and my sister's like, get the camera. And so we're walking around and taking photos, and we love it. And she's got an amazing eye, and I think it helps when, because all three of us are creative and we enjoy it and we love it, it's easy to have a strong brand because the brand is us. And I know that if sometimes someone will take photographs for us, not with us, I'm like, I can't use it. It's not us. And I am very strict with what we use and what we don't use and how we're portrayed. And I think that's really important. You can't dilute yourself. You can't just let anything go. You've got to be really strict with your content. And I think it makes a difference. Inspiration, we see it everywhere. Even when you're travelling, if you pick up an airport magazine or something, we're always saving things. Mum's always picking out articles from magazines. Mum's brain never stops. And, Daniella will see, she likes to go to the natural history museums and will be inspired by, beautiful old paintings, or, some of her collections were parts from, Celtic jewellery or buttons that she found on vintage jackets. And, seeing other people's films, flicking through a photo book, or just looking at your mum and dad's old photographs. There's so much that you can take from things. You're just like a sponge.
Yeah, one of the things I love when, obviously, I come to film at the workshop is kind of all the notice boards and everything that with all kind of like your family photos.
Yeah.
And kind of like stuff on the wall. It's so good to see.
It's another sort of big aspect to your brand. Like you've woven the lifestyle kind of feel into it, but also the the sustainability using recycled materials. How is that something that's always been a part of the brand, or is it grown?
Yeah. So we've always used recycled materials, and it is really important to us. And we've started to make more more changes, because it's so important to keep evolving. And, you know, there's more legislations are coming into place of what we can and can't do. And, you know, like going plastic free, having zero emissions. And it's important to our customers and it's important to us. So we have to strive to be better, because that's what people would expect from us. You can't stand still with sustainability. It's not something that you can just like tick a few things off and then say, oh guys, we've done this. You can't greenwash people, because our customers trust us and we've earned that trust from them. And we've got to continue to be better and do better. And last year, I think it was last year, we were certified with Positive Luxury's Butterfly Mark. It's a luxury sustainability accreditation. And, you know, we had to put in place so many things that we'd never had before. You know, we had lists and lists of things we had to achieve in order to get this accreditation. It wasn't like, you know, we had to prove so much. And that was the best thing for us, because we had goals of what we had to achieve, and now we have to redo our certification next year, and it's even harder. Some of these things you're thinking, oh my God, what is this? What is that? But it's, you know, we've got to do it. We've got to be forerunners, and you can't become stagnant with those kind of things. So it's really important. But yeah, we've always had recycled gold and silver. You know, our gems, it's a little bit harder because gems are mined and traceability is difficult. And that's something we're really looking into, because we want to know. And it's a bit of a grey area for us. But we're working towards it. It's a slow process at the moment, but we hope that by, you know, next year when we have our new accreditation, that'll be, you know, all ticked off. And then
is that one of the criteria then for the next year, to actually have traceability on all the stones?
Full traceability. You know, even like where you get your cardboard boxes from, where your paper comes from, you know, where's the trees been felled, you know, having that complete traceability, because people want to know it. And another thing that, you know, we've done for a long while, which Daniella does, is she takes old pieces of jewellery and then she reworks them. So the upcycling is important. Instead of just, you know, a lot of big brands mine diamonds, what have you, but we try to upcycle old diamonds as much as possible, give them new life. We've made our packaging completely recyclable, so we no longer have like cotton woven handles that were stuck in ribbon. We have paper woven handles, and then we had to take the ribbon stop from being glued in, so it's like a peephole, so it ties out and comes through. But that's also something, you know, you want to be as sustainable as possible, but you also want to have the luxury gifting experience. So we worked really hard to create beautiful packaging which is as sustainable as possible, using FSC paper, and so now our bags are completely recyclable. And that was a really great moment last year. They look really good. I'm really pleased with them.
I think it's like, from what I've seen of your packaging and kind of the branding and how it sits on it and everything, I think the sustainability sides are actually added to the, you know, like it does seem like you're always like improving and tweaking the designs.
Yeah, I think every time we come to film, it's like, oh, we've got new packaging.
Yeah, different colour. Yeah. Did you have you? I don't know if it's a secret or not, but
yeah, it's secret.
Okay. Yeah, I was just gonna touch on the brand experience thing again. So, obviously, you use the kind of look and feel of your brand. It's kind of around, you know, photography, video, the branding. I mean, it's kind of mixing that with like the stories on Instagram and that kind of thing. How is that something that you've always had that consistency with, or have you built it up over like the amount of content and how regular you post? And
I think when we started, obviously Instagram wasn't huge. It was at the beginning of its life, and I've always been quite techie. So I kind of understood it straight away, and I kept saying to Daniella, we need to get on Instagram, we need to do more Instagram, we've got to do an Instagram. You haven't done many Instagrams today. And she was like, can you just do it? Because I was stressing her out. So between us, we would create the content, both of us, and then I would post it, or we'd post it together, or, now she's got 2 kids. She doesn't want to be on her phone all the time, so, we do it. I do it for her, and we create the content together. But yeah, I think, it changes all the time. Now people are on TikTok. People watch TV on YouTube. Every time, I guess for you guys too, you've got to evolve all the time. And I'm really visual. And photography, imagery, film is really important to me, and I think that's the easiest way to portray a lifestyle or branding. If you've got quality content that can really touch people, and that's what I love with working with you guys. The film we did with Daniella in the Lake District, that. It's probably one of my favourite films we've ever done.
It was one of the most fun for us.
Yeah, it's a standout for us.
You managed to capture all the emotion that we wanted to create of how everything's made, what goes into it, and then also the passion and the emotion from Daniella. And it's such a beautiful film, and everything about it, the setting, I just love that so much.
I mean, it helps when obviously filming in the lakes and stuff. Well. Just around there, it's so beautiful. But yeah, it was a great time filming it. I remember standing at the top of kind of the hill overlooking Windermere. The drone kind of comes up with Daniella,
and we like the mist and stuff that you got in the lake, and it just looks so dramatic.
It was a perfect day.
But yeah, we always talk about working with you guys because it's so nice, because like everything you've been saying about your brand, how it is just, it's you and your family through and through. It's authentic. For us, because your brand so well, it's a pleasure for us to kind of listen to, understand what you're about and take that, and sometimes being honest, clients come to us and they're a little bit unsure of their identity and what they want to achieve and everything. So it's awesome working with you guys, because it's like you come to us with an idea and it's pretty much there. And then like the recent one we did with the poem, that was your
great
voiceover debut. That I've seen anyway, and I thought it was great. But
no, it's so nice, because when an idea comes, and sometimes, you can have so many ideas, but having people that can make the idea happen, that's amazing. And, I came to you guys, we talked about it, and my mum said, how do we get across that we, you can buy all your Christmas presents, it's all recycled, blah, 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 and also you can gain your points and rewards. So I was like, maybe I can write a poem.
But yeah, that was...
And then we were like, maybe we could get someone to do the voiceover. And then we're like, I'll just try it.
Yeah. I loved how you'd incorporated all the family in it as well, like Auntie Lou.
Yeah, Granny Bert.
Yeah.
So funny.
With you kind of like doing a lot of the marketing and stuff for Daniella Draper, if like maybe there's a business or whatever watching this kind of thinking, I want to maybe do a bit more myself, kind of is there any tips or anything you'd give to, without giving away your kind of biggest
Definitely. I think people always underestimate what they can do themselves, and there isn't a single job in that workshop that none of us, all 3 of us, haven't done. There's been times when my mum's had to stamp bangles. There's times when I've been sat on the welder. there's days when my dad's packing boxes. And, you know, if you know what it is that you want to create, it's not easy. If you put your heart into it, and you're good to everyone, and you're honest, and you've got passion and you've got drive, but you've also got to have a lot of hard work, because people think that, they're so successful, they're think this. It is blood and sweat.
Yeah.
You don't go to bed and go, you go to bed thinking, oh, I've got to do this, and oh my gosh, and what if sales drop? We've got a lot of staff, we've got a lot of people riding on us. And you can't be current today, you've got to be current tomorrow as well. And I think for anyone, as long as you put in the hard graft and you keep going and you don't give up and you believe in yourselves and you surround yourself with people who believe in you, I think it's important to have, an incredible team, or your mum and dad that believe in you, or if you don't have your mum and dad, friends or a partner, because it's hard to do it without support. And it's hard to do it without people at home that believe in you. But yeah, I think if you believe in yourself and try anything, people say, "Well, I can't do that." I never knew how to use whatever, but you just learn.
Yeah,
you learn on the job. And if you don't, there's Google
Yeah.
or YouTube tutorials.
YouTube's
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Oh my God, the amount of times I sit on YouTube and learn how to, take out something on a picture or something. You can learn anything.
Yeah.
And I think, if you really want to, you can achieve anything.
We do a lot of that, don't we? I
Yeah.
mean, being honest, we before we set up the business, we did go to college and uni, but I think Pete will agree with. I mean, me and him spent time together on YouTube just doing tutorials, just figuring stuff out. And even now, I think in business you have to be, with what we do as well, I think, yes, we kind of invest time in kind of more official training, like, we'll go to, pre-COVID, we used to go to loads of seminars and events and that kind of thing, so we're up to date with tech and industry trends and stuff. But I think it's, for us, there's still times when clients come to us and we're like, oh, we've not done that before. Let's just have a look let's have a look online and figure it out. And it always works out, even if it's just setting up a little test in here, setting up a little shoot in the studio, let's play around with lighting, let's do this. And eventually it is hard work, like you said, and it is, you do have to kind of enjoy, you love what you do as well. Yeah. Definitely.
That's really
it's
important.
Frustrating.
You've got to love it.
But you can do it.
Otherwise,
if you love what you do and you have an idea and you want it to happen, eventually it will happen.
Yeah.
I think it's
You just got to work hard. And
that's a major one that I forgot. You got to love it.
Yeah.
Daniella goes to work every day and she's like, I love my job. I love making jewellery. Me, my mum and Daniella, I love my job. I can't believe I get to do what I do. I never went to university. I was a ski instructor and I always dabbled in film and photography, but I never had any, I never went to university. I was so dyslexic. But, you don't have to. There's certain things that obviously you need to go to university for, but there's other things that you can learn on the go.
Your brand presence is so strong, and the way that the brand storytelling, and the way it comes across. So just if there's anything you think that businesses could do to elevate their brand and their presence and their sort of experience for customers when they're...
I think being authentic is important, because when people copy other people or, completely rip off, and it's quite obvious, I don't think you're ever going to be huge from doing that. I think if you have your own ideas and your own, creativity of where you see your brand going, we are now, you've got an audience. No matter where you start, you'll always have an audience, whether it's just your your friends or your family on social media. Wherever you start, you're always going to have people that are looking. And I think quality over quantity. And, you know, you don't have to post every day. People think, oh, I've got to do an Instagram every day. If you're doing a mediocre, you know, something for the sake, if you're doing something for the sake of doing it, don't do it. But if you have quality content and a message, what you think people should see, then do it, post about it. But don't always think at the beginning that you have to do it. And also, you know, your customers are smart. People that are watching are smart. They don't want to be constantly sold to or constantly, you know, bombarded with information. But if you're giving them something that is going to touch them or inspire them or interest them, then do it. But I think quality over quantity.
Yeah, I think that's something people get caught up on, don't they? Like, we've been guilty in the past. Sometimes we think, oh, we need to put something on. We've not updated social for a while, and then you want to delete it. Yeah, and then the thought process is the reverse of what it should be, because it's like, oh, what? Yeah. What can we take a photo of?
What are we gonna do?
Yeah.
But for you guys, like, you have clients. You're doing so well, and you've got, you know, you're producing incredible films and you're a pleasure to work with. Sometimes social media is important for certain brands, but it's not always, you know, the core of what you've got to do. You don't have to feel guilty about it. But, you know, and sometimes you might be too busy to be even post, and that's great.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah, I think for us as well, like, we were chatting about this the other day, weren't we? Some of the stuff we get to see, if we could just post it, you know, but it's just having the time, isn't it?
Yeah, we were doing some workshop stuff the other day, and they were saying, oh, I can't believe you went out, you go abroad and all this, but you don't...
Nobody knows.
Yeah, and it's like, they're like kicking us, like, what are you doing? And it's like, well, being honest, when we're on these shoots and stuff, we're so focused on... the time with the client, the experience with the client, and also like being present kind of thing, not like and
I think that's so important.
I really struggle with that, even on a personal level at home and stuff. I can't. I'm crap at multitasking. So if I'm trying to do social media and I'm just like so I just don't do it, and then obviously we're focusing on shooting and getting that. The priority is obviously the...
But that content, to me just shows how professional you are, because that's almost a selfish thing. You're going away, you're working for a client in, say, where you were in Antigua, and you are completely focused on your client, that you're not thinking, oh, I'm going to get this for my Instagram, for us. That's important. That's great. And as a client, knowing that, because the amount of times, you know, I work with someone and they're too busy on their phone, and I'm like, hello, like, come on, you just missed that. You missed filming this. Like, come on, do that. And they're too busy, not present, like you said. I think being present is so important. And I don't know, if your Instagram's great anyway, but I don't think you completely need to worry about your content, because you're creating amazing content for your clients, and that's amazing.
I know we know you guys, but when you land on the website, I feel like it represents who you are, and
that's great.
Yeah, honestly,
great feedback.
I think like you get a real sense of authenticity, and I think it is more difficult. It is difficult to achieve that, but I think it's just those key ingredients that...
I think that goes back to the thing that I said, just about staying true to your roots, and just kind of like people have kind of almost bought into the Daniella Draper brand, but they've also bought into you, Daniella, your mum. Do you know what I mean? Kind of like the whole family as well. So
do you find it obviously now you've got quite a few stores and staff, do you find it, has it been difficult to keep that core kind of family kind of feel, or is it, have you had to?
Well, we always, we set up every shop. So with all the staff, we know all the staff and we respect them and we love them because they are our representation to the world. Just like when you go on the website and you see, all the images and stuff, our staff are part of our family. And a lot of them have grown with us. There's people that have been with us for the beginning, like Daniella, a cat in the workshop. I think she's almost been with us about 9 years. And we've got Brit in the workshop. She started off, I think she was 17, and she was working in one of our stores in Cleethorpes, and she now runs the workshop.
Yeah.
And we've got her dad, her mum, her sister, her brother did a stint. And so not only is it our family, we've got other people's families working with us.
That's nice.
But yeah, I think, it's important for us that we do have we are in contact with them. Say like today, with, obviously my family have moved to the Lake District, but Mum still makes an effort to go to all the stores and check everyone's all right. Double checks on, things that they need. And, it's really important to us that we still have a presence with everyone, and it is hard because there's so many people now in so many areas, but we try our hardest, and hopefully they would say that they still feel that.
I was just going to ask about what you're excited about going forward. Is there any more stores in the pipeline?
No, we told my mum to pause.
No more stores.
Yeah, we're like, no more. So hopefully 2022 we just have more freedom, because last year we had 2020 where it was so hard to build content, and then this year we've finally been able to do it again, and for me it's been one of our best years to be able to make content because we've been able to do so much. And now that the world is becoming more visual with things, and you've got TikTok and all these things, I'm kind of scared and excited at the same time for next year, because there's so much that we can explore and try, and I'm looking forward to that, but also a little bit scared at the same time.
But yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. Such a pleasure.
Cool. Cheers.
Bye.